Hello, my friends. Welcome to our very first episode of Gaslighting Bingo. Today, we are going to be going through some emails that I acquired from the healthcare system in Minnesota, one of the healthcare systems that has been affected by the nurses voting to strike. We'll go into that just a tiny bit. We'll review the situation, and then we're going to read through the email, and we are going to play as we go through Gaslighting Bingo. And we're going to see if this hospital, let's see what I think it's called Fairview Hospital, can you reach Gaslighting Bingo? I don't have a way for us to mark off the topics on this because this was planned a little bit last minute, as in yesterday, but we have a bingo card and that's all that matters. Thanks everyone who is here. Mama Nurse, hello, hello. Yes, I did have to put a hairband in. It made me feel more collected before I went on the internet. Okay. So, Monica, hello from Minnesota. Hello. Let me know if you were part of the people who voted to strike. So we'll do a very brief road of what on earth are you talking about really quick, and then we will hop into what is happening. So last week, or maybe the week before, what is time? Let's see. I've taken a lot of Benadryl, in case you can't tell, for my poison ivy, so we might be a little bit delirious. So first of all, we have nurses in Twin Cities, Duluth, vote to authorize a strike. This is when the Minnesota, again, I'm from Michigan, so I'm going to say Michigan a lot. The Minnesota Nurses Association came together and said, hey, you're not treating us very well. This is their nursing union. And then the nurses went and they voted to say, if you don't change your tune and listen to us and give us safer patient ratios, more money, and let us actually take time off, we are just going to strike and not come to work. That would be 15,000 nurses in the Twin Cities and Twin Ports areas not going to work. So the hospitals obviously are kind of pooping themselves at this point and are reevaluating their priorities. I did a whole video talking all about this and like union kind of and all of that I will leave linked down below, because today, friends, we're not talking about them voting to strike. They are not striking yet. They've just voted to strike, but we're not talking about that. Today, we are talking about the email that one of the healthcare centers, Fairview Health, sent their employees in response to the fact that their employees basically gave them the virtual middle finger by voting for a strike. Because Fairview was not happy with this, friends. Fairview was not, they had big feelings, and we're going to get to see what they are. However, before we dive into what those big feelings are, we need to look at what is gaslighting, okay? Because this is very important to understand what we're looking for in our bingo game, right? We need to know what we're looking for, and this email is rife with gaslighting. I did not read the whole email yet because I got through the first 3 lines and I was like, we're going to need to read this as a group. And this is going to need to be a game. So in case you're not familiar, gaslighting is the form of manipulation that occurs in abusive relationships. It is a covert type of emotional abuse. So not like outright, you can kind of like in your mind tell yourself it's not really happening. Hospitals are very good at this, in which the bullying or abuser misleads the target, creating a false narrative, making them question their judgment and reality. We see this all the time in healthcare. People kind of say things to nurses like, oh, this is your job, when terrible things happen. And we're like, is it my job? Even though no right person on the planet would be like, no, my job is not to be like, go into a danger zone completely unprepared, wearing a mask that's literally falling apart while the rest of the world is hiding in their homes. Like, that's not normal. And everyone's like, but you signed up for this. And you're like, but did I? That's gaslighting, my friends. Healthcare is very good at it. They do this a lot when they're like, oh, don't let your coworkers are going to need you. If you don't sign up for the extra shifts, you're letting them down. Think of the patients, all of that. Healthcare is very good at gaslighting healthcare people to manipulate them for their gold pocket, their money. Words. Ultimately, the victim of gaslighting starts to feel unsure about their perceptions of the world and even wonders if they're losing their sanity. I feel that. It primarily occurs in romantic relations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now let's look at some essential elements of gaslighting, right? So the first one being lying to you. And you're just going to want to like tuck these in the back of your mind. And I have them on the bingo card. So as we're going through, you can let me know which gaslighting technique you think the hospital is using in their temper tantrum email. And then we'll go through. So we have lying to you. Lying is kind of like just outright, this is not true. If you say anything like, hey, you don't treat me well. And the person would be like, that's not right. Just directly contradicting you, discrediting you. So this is going to be going behind your back and making you seem like you don't know what you're talking about, going behind nurses' back and going to the media and saying, hey, nurses, but who trusts nurses? Nurses are just psh, that type of thing. Distracting you. Distracting is when you just switch the subject and they're like, hey, and you're like, hey, why are you making millions of dollars? And you are saying that you can't afford to pay for more nurses so that the unit is safe. And they say, but don't you remember that pizza party we threw you? Weren't the pepperonis delicious? Distraction. Minimizing your thoughts and feelings, basically saying like, oh my gosh, like you're making such a big deal of this. This is not a big deal. Calm down. It's fine. We don't like that energy. Shifting blame. Me? Oh, no. It is not my fault that you don't have nurses. No. That's Biden's problem. Shifting blame, denying wrongdoing, making it so that it never seems like you could never taking responsibility for an action. All those know those people, I'm sure, where it's like, no matter what you do, the person's like, it can jump through like 8 metaphorical hoops in order to make it seem like, no, this was never my fault. Rewriting history, where you're basically just like, if you say, hey, this happened this way, and they come back and they say, no, it actually happened this way, and it's not on here, but I added it because this article is fairly comprehensive, but it had one that I missed, and the one that it didn't have was making it seem like twisting your passions or your goodness against you. So basically, if you have a weakness for, or like, they'll do this a lot with nurses when they'll say like, oh, but like, usually nurses are people who like people most of the time, and they like don't want them to suffer. And they're like, well, like this will really make them suffer. Like this is actually really bad for them, and using that against you. So there, our baseline of the gaslighting. Amy says, I've got my snack and tea and ready for the poop show. I'm here for it. Thank you. CK Medic, hello, welcome. Thanks for being a channel member. I appreciate you. Nurse Scott, I predict we've already given you nurses so much, agree. And I predict the guilting for nurses for abandoning their patients. I feel like we should have made this a betting game. Will we get all of them? I'm almost positive that we will get bingo. Amy says, Nurse Scott, don't forget we'll be forced to pass the cost on to patients, and healthcare costs so much already. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, what will the hospital say for 500? Good job. Paul, good news is all the student loans you promised to pay are now being forgiven. I paid off. Let's see. I paid mine off now, get to pay for everyone else's with taxes and inflation. We'll talk about that a different day, Paul. Let me see. We've already given you nurses so much. Okay, perfect. Caught up. Nurse Corky, hello. Has their popcorn? I guess I don't know. Nurse Corky. Pronouns? What shall I call you? All right. Charles says, I've never worked in the medical field, but gaslighting like this is popular in many professional fields. Absolutely. Apparently it's very common in education too, from what I have heard. Okay. So now that we have the definitions of all of our things, let's take one more look at our gaslighting bingo cards. So this is what we're trying to get, guys. Okay. 3 in a row. We get bingo. What do we get? Satisfaction. Okay. That's pretty much all we have. I have no other prizes available. Let us start with the email. First of all, thank you to the humans who accidentally allowed this email to fall out of their pocket and into my pocket. That is very much appreciated. My dog is in here somewhere. If she walks over, we will say hello. As a reward, there we go. As a reward, we will have a Holly cameo. Holly is my dog. That's what I've got for you, is a little fluffy. Let us see. So to all, what voices should we use for this Fairview email? What sounds very snotty? To all employees. So this went out to all the Fairview nurses. Fairview is a healthcare system in Minnesota. They sent this out and it fell into my pocket accidentally, anonymously. I appreciate everyone whose emails had holes in it. Oh yes, Minnesota. Doing some kind of a Midwest accent would be appropriate. It seems too nice. My Midwest accent is too nice. Yesterday, the Minnesota Nurses Association Union held a strike vote at 11 Minnesota hospitals. It was 15, but good try, Fairview. including Fairview, Southdale, St. John's, Bethesda, and the University of Minnesota West Bank. The following communication outlines were where we are in a contract. The following communication, I can read, outlines where we are now in contract negotiations and what you need to know about this vote. I'm pretty sure they know about the vote and what they needed to know about it because they already voted. Yes. And Sienna, yes, Minnesota nurses did slay. So they're going to now, Fairview is now going to mansplain to you what you voted for, Minnesota nurses. Get ready. They're like, let me explain what's happening. You're like, I literally made this happen. I made fetch happen. Okay. Negotiation update. Slow progress since March. So these nurses have been, in basic summary, for 5 months, they have been trying to negotiate a contract between the healthcare systems in that area and the nurses. And this is mediated by the union because they're in a nursing union. So it's been 5 months, which is pretty long. Since March, Fairview has engaged in good faith negotiations. So they're trying. They are trying, guys. They have been showing up as the good guy in good faith with the union to agree on new contracts to replace those that expired May 31st, 2022. While we have made progress on important issues like workplace safety and diversity, equity, and inclusion, there are still wide paid gaps. So this is, first of all, problematic and kind of a lie. So we can check lies off, because the thing that they actually don't want to budge on is not the money. Nurses have come forward and said, between the union contract being like they only want to budge on the money, the hospital wants to throw money at the problem, and the nurses are like, actually, we want safer ratios, and they're like, bah, 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 bah. No, take $1. It'll be fine. So that is at least potentially untrue. We're going to put that as potentially untrue. Despite this, so they've done so much for you. And despite all of that, settling this contract fairly is our top priority so that our valued nurses, there we go, our valued nurses, we had that somewhere on bingo, where they start to compliment you. This is what's best for you. You're so nice. You are valued here. You are a valued member of this institution. I took away my card. There we go. Our top priority, our valued nurses can get back to doing what we do best. Oh, we're including ourselves in this now, are we? Okay, so this must come from a nurse. What we do best, caring for patients. Okay, you little nightingales, go, go, go. We are concerned. We, not just me, the head person, we are all, who is we? We are concerned that additional delays in reaching an agreement could cause an increased, here we go, health cost for patients. So where was, I think Scott called that one. Let me see. Who did we have calling the fact that you already had to pay so much? Someone had it. We'll see if Second Opinion can find it. Someone did already call the fact that they would bring up the price of healthcare. Oh, Amy Joseph will be forced to pass these costs on to patient, and healthcare costs so much already. Here we go. We're concerned additional delays in reaching an agreement could cause increased health costs for patients. I don't think that's actually what you are worried about, my friend, but okay. Or worse, impact patient care. The union's strategy to shut down hospitals does not put patients first. So here, basically saying that, hey, we are not willing to really negotiate with you, but what you're doing, that's not very nice. And what you're doing is putting other people in danger. So I believe just from those ones, we have, what can we check off of our bingo card? So we can catch off. So before we have lies, we have using like what's best for you. You're the best. This one, best for you, also includes like telling you you're great and like complimenting you so that you don't think you're like, well, they don't hate me because they gave me a compliment. So we have that one. Okay, we have the corners and manipulating your passions, saying that this is bad for the people you care about. And you do care about your patients, don't you? Okay, great. We already have all of the corners. Okay, so now we just need to fill out the middle of this. Let us continue. For more information on negotiations, you can visit this website. Cool. And negotiation update sites. Wages and benefits. Fairview proposed the largest wage gap increase in 15 years. Currently, nurses in Minnesota are among the best paid in the country. All right, well, we're going to immediately go back to gaslighting bingo. This is a form of, you don't have it bad. Look how bad they have it. shift blame, we can minimize. These kind of would be both of these, and in which case we already have bingo on the left. That was very rapid. We're only on page 2 of 5. Um, and there we go. So yeah, this isn't, I don't understand why you're complaining about how much you make. You make so much more than everybody else. Stop, be quiet and be grateful. And we're proposing the largest wage increase in 15 years. Well, that sounds like a personal problem, Fairview. If you haven't paid people better before, you can't blame your past self for being the worst and then being like, I used to be awful. Now I'm getting a little bit better. You should be grateful. That's weird and manipulative. Maybe you should have always paid people better. I've gotten a lot of messages from people who work in this area that said these hospitals pay like $10 an hour, $10 to $12 an hour less than other hospitals in that area. So they are drastically behind what other hospitals are paying. And it's like they're being like, look, we're finally paying you almost what other places are giving you. So you should just be happy. So that's crappy. Don't accept Minnesota. This is manipulation. There is an addition to existing increases awarded with additional years of experience. We're not proposing any changes to existing generous healthcare pension or other benefits. We're not saying we're going to take any of those other things that are very, by the way, very generous of us to give to you. This is going to be, oh goodness, what could we even do? General jerkery. That seems like what it is. Best for you, shift blame, rewriting history to be like, we were bad and here it is. But here we are. What the union has proposed. The union seeks, oh, good. So here's what the union has proposed. So here's what your people want us to do. The union seeks unrealistic, unaffordable, and unsustainable increases of 30 to 35% on wages alone. Well, if that's the market rate, my friend, bad news bears. Hospitals always seem to forget that when they kind of enjoy this really horrific system where healthcare is like capitalism and everything makes them money at the end of the day, because they forget that a component about that is like there's a market, right? And so you have to pay what the market rate is. But the union is unreasonable. The union seeks unreasonable, unaffordable, and unsustainable increases. So here they are essentially shifting the blame, saying this is actually your problem. This is not an us problem that we are not agreeing to your terms. This is a you problem. So here, I think we have another bingo going this way. We should probably just give up and say that, can we hit every single tile of bingo? This is now becoming a flip the card over game where you have to see if you can flip them all over. And good golly, Miss Molly, I love your name. Yes, all of the while, administrations are getting huge bonuses. And friends, I thought this might come up. So let us see really quick. I think it would be very interesting since they say they can't afford it. Why don't we just go and take a wee peek, just a wee little look at how much the hospital made in the last few years. Okay, so let's take that off. Let's take this down. And if they're saying unsustainable, unrealistic money, the hospital is probably broke, right? So I guess that was very presumptuous of me. And before we started ripping them a new one, we probably should have looked at how much money that they make. Okay. So their total revenue, this is all their salaries of the high up people. So that's weird that they're strapped for cash and their president makes 3.2 million. And then all of these other people, I wonder who this email is from. Let's see if we can guess. I bet it's from Laura Reed, chief nursing officer. This seems like something. And then she could call herself a we because she's a nurse. Well, Laura Reed makes $1.1 million, but this whole lovely list, those people all make caboodles of money. And that's interesting. Very, very interesting it's weird. It's uncomfortable. They probably didn't want us to find that. And let's see not only what the nurses and what all the executives make, but I was able to very briefly go on and find out, because I said, what about the hospital? What about this? I think it's nonprofit. We'll have to do a whole thing on nonprofits, but what about the hospital making money? Is the hospital making money? This should be interesting. Because they had a net income of $104 million in 2020, which is odd. So they're saying that they have no money, yet historically, every single year after this, like they had 1 or 2 years where they didn't make money. Oh, wait, never mind. Except for 2019, they have been making millions and millions and millions of dollars. They're gonna be like, oh my gosh, 2019. Yeah, you lost 52 million, and the next year you doubled it. You made 104 million, and every other year you made 204 million, 420 million, 232 million, 205 million. So yeah, I feel very bad for you. You're very right. You've proved your point very well. A net income of $104,149,258 is definitely meaning you're strapped for cash. But thank you. I appreciate you telling us that, so that we can put things in perspective, because we do feel bad for you. You are very poor. It would cost hundreds of millions of dollars that we simply do not have and will not have. I'm just gonna put that right there. That looks like $100 million to me. So, I mean, I know you can't find it, but I found it for you. In case you needed a solution to this, it's right there. It's right there. You could use that money to help solve this problem. But I know, I don't make the big bucks. So I cannot, what am I, when I'm just a silly little nurse. We continue to face a very difficult financial situation. I don't think they have ever understood what a difficult financial situation is at all. Outlined in the Star Tribune article. Wow, it's a really good source. Oh, look at this little magazine that sounds like something where you would read about like celebrities or something. The Star Tribune told us. Wow, you're definitely getting a good point there. Similar to 2020 and 2021, Fairview has experienced significant financial challenges in 2022. But confusion, Fairview, if I may. We don't have 21 data yet because it's not released to the publicly where I could find it on the internet. But similar to 2020, Fairview has experienced significant financial challenges. I'm just going to leave this here. Okay, maybe we'll just leave it up so that we can just reference it. I would not call I do have a small business, and I personally would probably not. I can ask second opinion. I don't think second opinion would be very sad if I had a net income like bump in the green of $101 million. For me, that would kind of be a win, but it's fine. Also, Ashley says the Star Tribune is our New York Times, but you're right about everything else. Okay, so I'm sorry, Star Tribune. I apologize. You sound very credible. My apologies. I don't even know if the New York Times is credible, but I'm glad it's not a one-off thing. So I do apologize, Star Tribune, for the slander. Fairview has experienced significant financial challenges in 2022, driven by a complex mix of factors, including surging COVID-19 cases, which filled your hospital and good golly, Miss Lightly says, got COVID bonuses from the government. And now those are starting to dry up. So now administrators are scrambling to cut costs to keep the money rolling into their pockets because they really enjoyed those benefits that they got in the last few years. But yikers. I'm sure that's not it. Increasing cost of supplies, rising technology and equipment fees, and intensifying staffing shortages. Well, you know what would fix intensifying staffing shortages? It might be if you treated your people decently. Fairview lost more than $163 million in the first half of 2022. Most places don't make money until the end of the year. So that's normal because your expenses come out and then all your money comes back in. And hospitals traditionally at the end of the year make the most money because that's when everyone's trying to get their deductible used. Like they hit their deductible, so they go ham on all of the like elective surgeries and crunching everything in. So the end of the year is actually when hospitals make most of their money. So while the statement might be true that they lost money, technically they fell below the line. That's normal and that would be anticipated. So we're going to go with manipulation of the facts for that one, if that's on our bingo card. If not, it should have been past self. It should have been. Despite this significant loss, we seek to honor and respect the work of our valued nurses by offering the largest wage increase in 15 years. So this is basically Fairview, like putting themselves out there as like the savior of the world. Like, we are going through all of this. I, might not be able to buy, like Sienna says, my third yacht. Might not be able to buy my third yacht, and we might only make 100 million in profits, but we are still willing to give you a pay raise that doesn't even bring you up to where the rest of the market value is. Wow. Thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate that. Staffing our hospitals safely, putting our trust in the entire care team and not just the union. So why would you not trust us? It's really rude. Here they're mad that you're trusting, shifting blame. We're blaming the person, and we're saying, why don't you trust us? Wouldn't it be nice if you just trusted us instead of going to a nursing union? That seems very behind our back. Totally just disregarding the fact that, they've been gaslighting the crap out of you, and there's probably why. But no, they're saying that the fact that all these nurses have put their trust in a union, not the hospital. Don't you trust your mom? Ugh, that's mean. I'm your mom. I'm taking care of you. I've given you all of these pay raises and kept you safe-ish, sort of, maybe no during I tried during the pandemic. Oh, and how nice of them. Go here. To be able, so they've done all of these things. Staffing flexibility, you being flexible, okay, is absolutely critical for hospitals to be able to innovate, tackle big challenges, and most importantly, let's take it back to the patients, properly care for our patients. So unless I get that you want all these things, nurses, but you're just asking a little bit too much. And we need to, as a group, give up a few things so that we can help patients have the safest thing. I will give up one of my penthouses. You will give up most of your salary and all of your vacation time. And I don't understand why you're complaining. These things are basically equal. It is this flexibility that allows us to move quickly to best care for our patient populations. We have seen on display most recently in our handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. So basically saying, like, you know how you you were flexible and we manipulated the crap out of you during a global pandemic. You should be like that all the time. We know you can do it. We know you work short-staffed. We know you worked in unsafe conditions because you've already done it. You already did it during a pandemic. Oh, you don't think a pandemic should be the standard of how you practice from now on? We disagree because we know you can do it. It was like, these people got to see, like, oh, they can do it with less. And they're like, let's just keep doing it with less. You know what I mean? No, friend, that's a pandemic. Things were different. We said we survived that. Now let's go back to normal. And the hospitals don't want to go back to normal. They don't want to go back to normal because they're losing oodles of money. Every day, nurse leaders work with bedside and charge nurses to appropriately staff units based on individual patient needs and the training, experience, and capabilities of the care team that includes more than nurses. So this is not just about you, friend. Why are you making all of this about you? This involves physical therapists, physicians, nursing assistants, respiratory and dietitians, and more. This isn't just you, so you should probably stop throwing yourself a little pity party, if not more, as the number of nurses. So there's more of them than you, and you don't see them throwing a fit, do you? Come on now. Stop acting like that. That's nice. Properly staffing our units is made more complicated by the nationwide shortage of healthcare workers, including nurses. And part of this problem, nurses, is that you don't want to go to work. You're lazy. You don't want to be nurses, even though this is what you signed up for. So you are, in a sense, creating your own problem. Let's just blame you instead. It's raising my blood pressure. What a strike vote means for you. I think they know what a strike vote means for them, person, because they voted for it. And a lot of them had to go out of their way to vote for it. So I'm pretty sure they understand what a strike vote means for them. And it's more risky for them to do than for you to do because they don't have 12 yachts and $1 million salary. So not getting paid if they go on strike and risking their employment probably means a little bit more for them than it does for you. But what do I know? The union has received authorization from their members to strike. For there to be a work stoppage, the union is required to provide us with a 10-day notice of their intent to walk off the job. I think these people already know that. While hoping to avoid a work shortage, we have long been planning for it. So even though we are benevolent and we pay you more money, less money than most other places, but more money than you got in the past when our evil past selves didn't pay you well. And even though we, you know, gave you environments to work in during a pandemic so you didn't have to be at home, even though we forced you to come in, um, even though all of that, we know that you little nurses are kind of wicked at heart. And you might be planning to do this. So we have been planning. We've been planning for you to be mean, mean little nurses. We are working with a variety of different stakeholders, including staffing agencies, uh, to ensure that we will be able to provide safe, high quality patient care. So no matter what you do to us, it won't matter. That's not true. Let's not even for 1 second pretend that 15,000 nurses working in their normal patient populations would not be like devastating, which is why they're throwing this temper tantrum. They don't want this to happen. But now they're trying to convince you that even if you do this, all of it's for nothing. You're going to get paid, not get paid for nothing. We're going to be totally fine. And you can throw your little temper tantrum. And rest assured, in the event of a strike, our hospitals will continue to operate like any other day. I don't need you. You need me, is this vibe. Okay. This is them saying, like, this is only going to hurt you because it doesn't even bother me, it doesn't even affect me. We're going to be totally fine. Like, why would you not come out and at least say, this would be like, if you're going to manipulate someone, you can't on one hand say this is going to destroy our patient population and be very dangerous. And on the other hand say, no, I don't even care. Fine. Do it. Do it. Like that, it doesn't make sense. We know we can get this done. We are ready to keep working at the bargaining table. Well, you don't really have a choice because your nurses decided they don't have faith in you and they wanted a union and they have not agreed to a contract. So I'm glad you're ready because you literally have zero choice in the matter. So that's good. I'm glad you're ready. We will keep working at the bargaining table to reach a fair and equitable agreement that works for our nurses, our hospitals, and our communities. Just throw the communities in there because it's got to work for you. It's got to work for the hospital. And of course, it has to work for the patients and the community. Nurses with our healthcare teams have done truly amazing things to provide incredible care. You couldn't just say nurses, you've done a good job. No, nurses, along with everyone else. Sure, everyone else has done great things too. But, this email is to nurses. So maybe you could just address the nurses. It's fine. We are proud of our nurses' work. We're proud of you. We want what's best for you. We love you. You're doing a great job. But shutting down hospitals does not put patients first. But we're disappointed. That's what that says. That's the old line from your parents where they're like, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. And embarrassing. Even though you have to remember that they're disappointed, but it's not going to affect them. So they're a little bit confused about that part. The few lines up about resting assured, we're here for our patients now and in the future, and it'll operate like any other day. Like, what person on planet Earth would believe that? Like, oh yeah, all of you could walk out and this place will run just fine. Oh, shutting down our patients' hospitals does not put patients first. This is also gaslighting because it's telling you that you doing this is you being selfish and it's not putting patients first. And isn't that why you went into this profession? Isn't that why you went into this profession? No, don't think about you. I know it might stink for you, but look at overall. Look at your patients. You don't want them to suffer, do you? When we focus on working together, let's just put our differences aside. Okay, let's just forget the fact that we've kind of been the worst ever. And why don't we forget that for the good of the other people, right? Can't you be selfless and do that? It's your job. You went into this to help people, didn't you? Come on, you did this to help people. When we focus on working together and bringing our good faith efforts forward, everyone benefits and we can make sure our focus remains where it belongs. Oh, and here we go, on our patients. Because of course, we end the entire email by saying, putting the focus where it belongs, on the patients, in order to distract you from the fact that your situation is not okay. But it could be worse. Think of the patients. Remember the reason you got into it? Oh, with gratitude. Why do people sign off emails like this? Like, I'm a huge jerk. Laura Reed. Oh, we were right. Laura Reed, who makes $1.3 million, is, there we go, the chief nursing officer, executive person, and Linda Wick. Okay, so that was the email. I believe we got bingo. I think we went through all of them. I think this probably had literally maybe everything except for rumors and gossip. I'm not sure we hit rumors and gossip. Next time, Fairview, try harder. I'd like to complete an entire bingo card. But that was a catastrophe. That was like a temper tantrum with many phases. They couldn't decide if they were going to be fine or if they weren't going to be fine or if the patients were going to be fine or what was going to happen. Laura definitely needs a reality check, Sienna. That was, I feel she's unwell. That does not look good. Church POS said, worked as a nurse for 30 years. Never saw where a nursing strike occurred and it ended well for management. Nope. Nope. Because when you go on strike as a nurse, so in case you're like outside of the healthcare sphere, when everyone that usually works on your units leaves, you're losing all of the people who actually know the things of how the unit runs, the nuances of it, the patient populations, where everything is in the hospital. So you're flooding the hospital with a bunch of travel nurses who have skills. They have the skills, but it's like dropping a ton of teachers into a random classroom. Like you just don't know your situation and you need a few people there to orient you, right? And if you don't have any of that, it's going to fall apart. Strikes are effective. They are brutal, but they are effective because they get stuff done because the hospitals fall apart and the hospital starts losing money very quickly. It puts a very negative spin on the hospital also in the media because usually people, if they see nurses outside being like, I want safe patient ratios, the patients who are choosing which hospital they want to go to, they're kind of like, wait, like you want safe patient, you're outside here demanding safe patient ratios. What's happening inside? Not a good look. Really, really not a good look. And so it never ends well for management. And management knows that, even though they're like, this is fine. Everything's fine. Go for it. Go for it. They're sending out F around and find out energy, and they do not have they don't have the standing to back that up. So that's not good. Sarah M said, I love how they paid office staff to stay home because they aren't trained to work with patients. Was this going during the pandemic? Oh, Nurse Quirky. Our hospital gave us huge bonuses to the big guys and laid off a ton of nurses and then begged for nurses. It's interesting how that happens. It's interesting, but it's about the patients. It was better for those patients to have those other people have the huge salaries. Okay. Tammy W. I do not understand how these leaders don't get that if you pay and treat your staff decently, there will be staff at the bedside to provide safe patient care. I know they seem to really, they know that we care about patients. They've got that part and they know they they know how to fix it, but they can't connect. They're like, okay, nurses want patients to do better. They want safe situations. So we can make more nurses in order to get, nope. We can pay us more. Okay. Yeah. Let's pay us more, pay the nurses less, and then blame them for not taking care of the patients with the supplies and the resources that we have not given them. They're so close. They just can't quite cross that bridge. Can't quite get there. Good golly, Miss Molly said, our hospital is having a terrible time filling positions. They don't want to pay bonuses for shift pickup either. I would really go into their bonuses. And I'm sorry, that's problematic. I'm sorry. Sarah M. Management has said that if nurses can't find time to pee, then we can find time to drink. And so if nurses can find time to pee, we can find time to drink. Wow. To eat and drink and stuff. Oh, this makes sense. There was a first comment. Thank you. In our unit, our unit was scolded for having cups of water out on the station while documenting. They said we have no other time. We said we have no other time to drink water. And then they told you that if you can find time to pee, you can find time to drink. Wow. And this is common. Most, so JCO is like a regulatory body that comes through and says hey, is your hospital safe? JCO is also the devil. But go talk to JCO, as I have learned through doing a lot of this, is tell JCO all the things. People usually hide from JCO because they come through and they make sure, is everything safe and up to par here? I used to run from JCO because I was like, I don't want you to talk to me. You are the devil. They come through and they yell at you a bunch of stuff. One of the things being water bottles. How dare you have water bottles out? all day and they have this same energy, that's going to be the infection spreader. Of course, that is going to be the thing that takes the patients down. They're weirdly fixated on it. But dude, go talk. If Jayco comes to your hospital, rat that place out. Be like, oh yeah, this is actually a really interesting. You see all you like the call bells, like they're going off all the time. No one's here to answer them. I never have enough time to eat. I never have enough time to do this. I never get a break. This is unsafe. This is unsafe, because they're the ones who are going to go back and report it. Will your manager be upset? Yeah, maybe, but just don't lie. And then what are they going to say? You can just feign ignorance if you want. I mean, I would probably do it with a little smirk, and they would definitely know I was not doing it innocently, but just be honest. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid of Jayco. I desperately wish I could go back and just like give people a tour. Be like, Jayco, come with me. Please come. I've got things to show you. Tell them. Isaac Makana and his mom. Part of the problem is we won't be able to find enough travelers to cover you if you go on strike. Yes, this is what they're saying. They're saying that. I can't tell if you're saying that or if you're saying what they say for that. But yes, that is what they're going to try to say and manipulate you with is, if you do this, we won't have enough people. We won't have enough people. And that's just rude. D. Kelly said, wouldn't it be great if the travel nurses stood in solidarity? So this is there's a lot of people and a lot of feelings on the topic of like, should travel nurses go and cover? And we talked a little bit about this in that stream about should they go and cover these strikes? So a lot of times you'll hear the term scab for like a nurse. It's not a nice term. But basically nurses who are going to go and stop the bleeding, right, at these hospitals, they're going to come in and they're going to get paid a ton of money, tons and tons of money in order to cover the strike, because the hospital does need people to be there and take care of patients. And a lot of people, there's kind of like two sides of it. One side is saying, well, why, like, I wish travel nurses wouldn't just take the extra money because you get paid bank to come and cover these. Like, it would be nice if you really left the hospital high and dry and like maybe management had to come out and work, or like they really had to feel like it would shorten the strike, right? Because when you fill it with like nurses who are traveling, like the hospital is obviously going to be affected, like we said, but it would be instead of maybe a 1 or 2 day strike, it would be like a 5-hour strike, if no travel nurses showed up to cover it. And you guys can leave me your thoughts in the chat below in terms of like what you think, as long as we're respectful. And then there's the other side who says, but this is such great money. I'm just kind of like, you don't know my situation. Maybe this is going to like totally change my career. Like, I'm just here for the money. This is just a job. And this is a great opportunity. It makes sense. And I honestly can kind of see, like, I can see both sides. I probably like wouldn't necessarily, because I have big feels. I'm a big picture human, and I'm like a stick it to the man person, but I also come from a privileged background situation where I'm not like needing to make as much money as quickly as I can. More money, obviously. More money, always great. Always great. But like, I'm not strapped in that way. But if you were someone who was just starting and maybe you didn't have like a financial safety net, and this was going to give you a good little boost, I totally get it. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of the nuance to it. We don't have to talk more about it, but that's kind of the two sides of it. So I get it. Would I do it? No, because I'm a big middle finger to the hospital person, but I understand if people just want to hop in there and get their money and be like, that was great, bye. I think the hospital is still going to bleed and suffer, and the point is going to be made either way. Could it be a lot quicker if we didn't have nurses covering? Yeah. But the point is still going to be made. Hospitals don't run well when all their nurses leave. Like, nurses run the hospital. So yikes. Nurse Scott said, I would. Money for me and financial pressure for the hospital. Yeah. So you are charging them a ton of money for your services and you get a bunch of money. Mama nurse agrees. I would for the financial gain. At the end of the day, the patients need someone to take care of them. And yeah, that's a good point too. You still need someone to show up and going in and like taking their place. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Yes. Says, as a travel nurse, I feel supported. I feel I'm supporting the striking nurses. A common feel of staff RNs is who will take care of the patients. I'll take care of them while you demand safe and reasonable working conditions. And that too. Like, there is a lot of contention of people feeling like if you cross a strike line as a nurse, like going in as a travel nurse, then you're like not supporting the cause. And I think that's, like I said, I think the damage is already done, friends. We don't need to, like, someone does need to take care of the patients in the end of the day. I totally get the mentality, but I probably lie more towards take the money. I just don't know. Like I said, I couldn't personally do it because I would just be like so angry and spiteful. But those are the two sides kind of that. And yeah, someone does need to take care of the patients. And I hope you make bank on Wednesdays. We wear pink. I hope you make bank. Mama nurse, are you going to go cover these? Mama nurse also does some traveling. She can get some money. They'll have to stop hospital admissions. Yep, yeah, they sure will. And no one likes that. They'll have to divert. Usually when these things happen and there's a strike, hospitals, there's a diversion system where you basically send up a flare and say, hey, we can't take any more patients. Everybody who's coming in through an ambulance has to go somewhere else. They don't like this. That is very expensive. And Nurse Scott said, yeah, $2,000 a week is not bad. It is sure not bad. Definitely not. Mama Nurse says, I definitely would, but they haven't been able to get any strike contracts yet. So they might not have released them yet. Jackie R said, imagine having a heart or lung procedure and no nursing care. I will not go to your hospital. Exactly. So this is the thing that really is the painful part of the nursing strike is people in the community know that there's a nursing strike because it's all over the news. You are not going to go there. You are not going to take your loved one to that hospital. Doing that. You know what I mean? You would not want to do that. It doesn't look good. And then you have to wonder, because generally the public sort of trusts nurses, sort of. And they're like, why are you all so mad? And nurses, we don't tend to hold back when you ask us why we're mad, and we'll tell you. And then that's the message you get spread all over. Good golly, Miss M said I would let administrators come and take care of them then. That would certainly be interesting. That would not be good for the patients, but it would be interesting. My favorite thing of this is one time we were desperately short on our unit and our nurse manager was like, I'm going to come and help out. We were like, this person had not been like, she was not someone who like regularly went out and interacted with the unit. Not someone who like, I understand if you as a manager haven't worked on the floor in a while, but like you should be aware of the floor. And she came out and was standing there and someone called for a code brown and she showed up with a crash cart because that's the reality that she lived in. They were like, I need help with the code brown, like just hung their head out a window. Yeah, crash cart. So that would not be good if management came in and took over because they're not really exactly on the pulse of like what's happening. CK Medic said, and then they support those travel nurses by treating them like the guy we watched last night. Yeah. And then traveling nurses get kind of the rough end of everything. And we do attack. I don't think it's right to attack travel nurses, even though you might be frustrated to see them coming in and seemingly alleviate some of the hospital struggles. I promise you're not replaceable, my friend. No one is replacing you as the employee that works there all the time. Yeah. And if you didn't see last night's stream, Eugene was a nurse that was attacked. He was a travel nurse for 30 minutes by a patient. And then the hospital told him, can you just not say anything? Because this doesn't look good. Also, my dog wants to leave. So we're going to do our puppy reward really quick so that she can leave. All right, here's our award for winning bingo, everyone. Here's Holly. Holly, you say hi to your friends. You say hi. Hi, I'm Holly. I'm 12. I'm a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. I'm deaf. And I'm a little cranky. And I love it. She's definitely feeling herself. Got little gray hairs. Oh. Anything you want to say? Oh, Dottie and Zach say hello. Hello, Dottie and Zach, Nurse Scott. Yes, are you done? Would you like to sit here? You can sit here. She's like, please let me go. She is ready to strike. And so, yes, there was something I saw up here. Let me find it. W. Wardo. Thanks for being a channel member, friend. I appreciate you. My hospital is working on a stronger recruitment strategy, but not paying our current nurses properly. So that's not going to go well, because you know what the people who you're strongly trying to recruit is? They're going to come up to the people who work there and they're going to be like, hey, should I work here? And you're going to be like, no, friend, go work over there. We don't get paid well here. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. W. Wardo said they are also offering $10,000 bonuses for nurses who left during the pandemic, but nothing to those who stayed. And this is the energy that we don't like to see, right? You're going to pay people who left to come back, but you're not giving anything to the people who are there day in and day out. And this is why people strike. Okay. This is why people strike. Yikers. Yikers, yikers, yikers. Do you have something to say about that? Do you have something to say about that? Did you feel passionately about that? Okay, come down. KM brought up a good point. Oh, I love your picture. Yeah, it's hard to imagine your family being there at an inconvenient. Please hold. Holly is having a. Are you okay? Yes. Yeah. Goodness. Goodness gracious. That's what she thought of that. I do feel really awful for people who are already in the hospital at this point and are just stuck with this crappy situation. And that is what the hospital they want you to play through that in your head. And come to the conclusion that you aren't going to do this strike because that would be bad for patients who are in there. It is going to be bad for patients who are in there. There is no way around that. But the point is, it will be bad for so many more patients if you don't stand up for safer ratios and having time off and being allowed to drink and eat. Yeah. Yes. Yay, Holly. Hi, Sarah Nelson. Sarah Nelson, thanks for all your nice comments on I forget what video. They were very nice. They made my day. I appreciate you. Hello, Holly. Yes. Hello. So that, my friends, that's what we have. On Wednesdays, We Wear Pink said, oh, traveling gets ugly. Everybody usually hates you. I just smile because I get to go home eventually. There you go. And make bank. And, yeah, travel. I don't know why. Well, nurses were mean. I don't know why nurses are so mean. We did a whole thing on that on nurses eating your young last Thursday. If you want to catch that live, we will link it down below. But nurses are just we would get so much done if we stopped fighting with ourselves and being mean to ourselves. Instead of directing energy at oh, well, you're going to come and cover the strike as a nurse. And being angry about it, let's just have a kumbaya moment and put all of our rage against the hospital and show up with someone said that they would like to go, Amy, I'd show up with a travel gig wearing an I'd rather be striking button. That's the energy we need to bring to the conversation, friends. That's what we need to show up with. Okay. Direct all of our rage towards the healthcare systems. Let's do that. Sarah Nelson said, still hard to work without enough nurses and an idea of where the bladder scanner is. Exactly. So just little things like, where do I find the bladder scanner? Where do I find this? What's your policy for this? It's going to be much more chaotic and patients will suffer. But hey, they've also already been suffering for this. So just remember that. That's a good reminder. Yeah, that this is a problem. It's going to be more of a problem if they do strike, but it's only going to get worse if no one ever stands up to anything. Nurses, Sienna says, do the most patient care contact period. The public just thinks nurses are like side characters that want more money. Apparently. And that's one critique I've heard is oh, nurses are so selfish. They just want more money. Well, nurses would like to be fairly compensated for the market rate. Nurses traditionally do take less money than they other, similar job type things because we're well, I do like it. It's a calling or whatever, which I hate. I don't think it's a calling. I think it's a job, but you can manipulate nurses a lot of the time by being you do it for the patients, right? Not for the money. You do it for the patients. And it's okay to be yeah, I want more money, but I also want safer conditions, which remember these hospitals, they want to give them more money. They don't want to give them the safe conditions. So really we all see what it comes down to is when they need to, they seem to be able to locate their money. But it would cost them even more, even though in the long run, if you had safer patient ratios, it would be money saving because yes, nurses are expensive, but in the long run, your patients would have better outcomes. You would have more reimbursement from Medicaid, Medicare, all of that. But what do I know? silly. I'm just a silly nurse. And that's what we have for that, friends. I appreciate you being here for our impromptu bingo game. I'm really glad that we won. I'm a little bit bummed, I won't lie, that we didn't get that last one turned over. Gossip. Next time we'll try harder. If you ever have any leaked emails that accidentally might want to fall out of your email and into mine, feel free to go, and we will play Gaslighting Bingo whenever you would like. If you have something entertaining for me to have fall into my email. I hope that you lovely people have a beautiful day. I'm going to go lay down and itch. I feel like I did okay. Did I do okay? Not itching myself continuously? Okay, good. I was like, I can't go on the internet and be like, poison ivy is the bane of my existence. I forgot to give a shout out to our members yesterday. I also forgot to update this list. But thank you, channel members, for always supporting our channel. We appreciate you. And there's some new friends that I haven't added that I will. If you want to be a member, you get extra rambles. I'm starting to work on a Discord server that'll just be like, so we can like chat and hang out in that way. And yes, feel better. Mama Nurse says, you did great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sarah Nelson, you're doing great, sweetie. Thank you. So Nurse Corky, thanks. ASMR Live. Hi, Holly. I know. Holly left immediately. She was like, this is not my energy. Holly is a mood. She wants what she wants. She takes no crap. And Holly is not gaslit very well. You're like, I'm your owner. I do everything for you. All I want you to do is love me. And Holly's like, I don't know you anything. And I'm like, that's the energy. That's the energy we need to bring with us through life is the Holly energy. She's like, I'm going to fart in my face and then walk away. And you're like, wow, that was bold. And you owned it. And I'm still going to treat you like the queen. All right, friends, on that happy note, thanks for being here. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Please do remember that you, my friends, are not alone. You can do hard things and you are more than enough. I got the, got the order wrong, but it's fine. Everything's fine. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Oh, wait. Whose comment? Oh, Liz, I'm not tweaking. I'm just itchy. Accurate. That needs to be a sign on my wall. I'll cross stitch it. It'll be great. Bye, friends. Let's find the end screen to end our live.